Hello, you're watching RTD's English News Edition Top Stories. A regional meeting has been held on the fight against terrorism at the Sheraton Hotel. Another international news, Putin and Erdogan agreed on the Syrian file. Thank you for joining us. After the successive stages in the region of Ali Sabeh, including the Chief Police Samo, Gestir and Ali Adi, the delegation led by the Minister of Defense arrives at the Hol at the military school Al-Haji Hassan Gouleid Abtidon. This visit follows those previously conducted in the northern regions of Ok and Tujara, accompanied by a strong delegation composed of 2 ministers, as well as General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, Chief of Staff General of the Armed Forces General Tahir Muhammad Ali, Chief of Defense Staff, and many officers. The Defense Minister Ali Hassan Bahdan wanted to get in touch with the military in the remote posts of the armed forces as well as the population. The Minister of Budget, Bod Ahmed Roble, and the Minister of Communication, Abdi Yusuf Sugi, also made this trip. After the long trek in the localities of Ali Sabeh region, the delegation plans to spend the night at the Hol military school before continuing its journey to Loyada. Upon arriving late in the afternoon, the delegation was greeted by the commander of military school, Lieutenant Colonel Omar Ali Gedi. The delegation witnessed a demonstration of new shooting techniques whose trainees are currently trained. The Defense Minister was also able to see the technical knowledge provided to military trainees in the handling of weapons. It is still within the military school that the delegation attended a presentation of the situation of the military school at the General of Hol sub-region. It was an opportunity for the delegation to know the difficulties faced by this vital institution of the army. The delegation then moved to Loyada, where they have visited the border infrastructure with Somalia. In this locality of Loyada, the army, the police and the customs services work side by side in a perfect symphony. Before arriving in Loyada, the delegation stopped at the Reyah Damera, a border crossing where the Murjok's military officers stand guard against illegal smuggling. Not only this post, but also others are located along this border with Somalia to effectively fight against insecurity. Arrival in Loyada, the Minister of Defense and his delegation were greeted with honors by the camp commander, Sheikh Osman. A brief presentation in attendance allowed officials to immerse themselves in the situation in this highly strategic community. Then they visited the facilities at the Loyada military post, and finally, to end this long tour, the Minister of Defense, like other regions, decorated 3 soldiers at the Loyada station to mark their abnegation and courage. The meeting of the Counter-Terrorism Working Group was held this morning at the Sheraton Hotel with the National Police and Interpol. This meeting brought together more than 13 countries, including Djibouti, Somalia, Ethiopia, Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania. Terrorist attacks at the international level have reached an alarming level in violence, and the consequences are numerous and affect almost all the countries around the world. Interpol has increased the privileged relationship with the partners for the fight against terrorism by strengthening national, regional and international law. Interpol's counter-terrorism is mandated to assist the entire member country in preventing and dealing with terrorist activities by identifying members of terrorist networks and their affiliations. The ceremony was attended by Interpol Director François and National Police Director General Abdelahi Abdifarah. And for his part, the General Director of the National Police thanked all the participants in the ceremony. He explained the importance of the fight against terrorism. He remarked that Interpol has increased the privileged relationship with its partners, he said, for the fight against terrorism by strengthening at the national level of law, regional as well as at the international level. After delivering the keys of passes to support the organization of the celebration of the 12th edition of the Day of Nations in Ethiopian nationalities, expected at the beginning of December, the Djiboutian delegation led by the Minister of Trade, Mr. Hassan Ahmed, has insisted that the different structures intended for the reception of the festivities of this great Ethiopian nation. For more than 1 year, major projects have started in the capital of the Afar region of Ethiopia, Samara. The main road arteries of Samara have been extended and renovated. The lighting of the Samara was reinforced in the life of this Ethiopian festival, which will be a great affluence for all Ethiopian nations and nationalities and the guests of neighboring countries in our country to develop this event. At the beginning of December, the Djiboutian delegation, accompanied by the Afar authorities, visited the place on which the Afar traditional pita was built. The 32 districts of the Afar area participated in this movement. The delegation has also visited the new large stadium of Samara with a capacity of 35,000 places. A second time in Djibouti, thanks to the chairman of the Committee of Referee African Football Commission CAF and current president of the Djiboutian Football Federation, Suleiman Hassan, the course of the Futuro 3 was closed today at the Sheraton Hotel in the presence of the Secretary of State for Youth, the Secretary General of the Djiboutian Football Federation, the Technical Director of the Djiboutian Federation of Football, and the chairman of the Referee Commission. Deputy Commander of the National Guard of the state of Kentucky, Brigadier General Benjamin F. Adams III, who makes final farewell visit to the senior Djiboutian military and civilian authorities. During this meeting, they discussed the twinning program between the Republic of Djibouti and the state of Kentucky, and this program, initiated by the United States of America since 1993, brings together the National Guard of the state in the Kentucky and the state of Djibouti in order to exchange military and civilian skills, experience, as well as the improvement of Djibouti's security and defense capacity. Speaking, Colonel Mohammed Jama thanked the General for his visit and reminded the smooth running of the partnership program. He also highlighted the objectives of the presence of U.S. forces in Djibouti, which consists in the fight against terrorism and developments in the East African regions. A strong Japanese delegation visited Obok on November 13th, 2017 at the head of Japan's ambassador in Djibouti, Mr. Tatsu Abe, to attend the inauguration ceremony of Obok's Women Professional Training Center. And this project was signed on March 19, 2017 as part of the community micro project in proximity, contributing to human security. Present at this inauguration ceremony were Prefect of Obok Region Hassan Dabeli, President of the Obok Regional Council Mohammed Hamad, and President of the Obok Women's Association for Development Fatouma Hamad Yassin, and as well as the representative of the University of Obok. The project is valued at $81,676, about $114.5 million. The aim of this project is to teach literacy and sewing on informatics as well as to young Obok women. The project also aims to strengthen women's ability to find work that could improve their conditions of life. And now moving on to the international news. Russian President Vladimir Putin and his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan agreed on Monday on the need to boost efforts to achieve a lasting political settlement in Syria. Despite being an opposing sides of the Syrian conflict, Russia and Turkey have been working together since 2016. Reconciliation deal ended a crisis caused by the shooting down of a Russian warplane. During 4 hours of talks at the Black Sea resort of Sochi in southeast Russia, the two sides agreed on the need to stabilize Syria, Putin said, and the pair last met in Ankara in September when they agreed to push for the creation of a de-escalation zone in Syria's key northern province of Idlib, in addition to others already proposed. Their efforts have helped bring about a de-escalation of violence in parts of Syria, though fighting continues. European foreign ministers approved economic sanctions, including an arms embargo on Venezuela on Monday, saying regional elections last month marred by reported irregularities has deepened the country's crisis. Spain has long pushed for sanctions on those close to Maduro, in whom Washington accuses of installing as well as Islamic sanctions on July. But the EU has been divided over whom to target, as well. The arms embargo adds Venezuela to an EU list that includes North Korea and Syria, where European defense companies can no longer do business, into which the sale of any goods deemed as being used for repression also banned. Thank you for joining us on RTD. Have a good night.